Welcome to the AGC podcast. If you don't know us already, the Akuta Group of Companies is a British interior design collective with a portfolio of 6 international award-winning design brands. I'm your host, Tori, and in this pod we'll be revealing exactly what it takes to build a global design collective that works in some of the world's most exclusive postcodes. You'll meet the talented individuals behind each brand, as well as the many interesting people that have joined us along the way. Stay with us to hear more about how we got here, where we are going, and how we plan on being a force for good in this world of possibilities. On this episode, we're welcoming Rob Abrahams, co-founder of Coat Paints, and one half of the Rob duo who masterminded the paint brand. So welcome, Rob.
Something like that, yeah.
Thank you for joining us. And we were just talking a minute ago about how confusing it is being two Robs who have founded the company. Yeah,
it can be. It's confusing and quite nice sometimes because you get away with stuff.
Get away with a bit
of each other. And,
yeah, exactly. Use it to your advantage.
I think half of our generation of my age is called Rob, so it's fine.
Well, we're really excited to get you on today.
Likewise.
And I guess there's 2 things to cover. Is our recent collaboration for AGC's Conscious Collection.
Yep.
Which, have you been to see it yet?
I haven't yet. I know, I should have done my homework.
Me too.
I'll be there.
You have to. It looks absolutely amazing. So really impressed with that. And also we just want to sort of talk to you about how you guys have created and grown such an impressive brand and in such a short space of time as well. So We're interested to know more about how you did it, your journey into B Corp, and also delve a bit more into your product offering as well.
Yep, keen. Let's do it.
Great. But as usual, before we start getting into things, we need to trial your drink of choice.
I know, well, it's very boring, isn't it?
Well, I know I haven't, I'm sorry, I've gone with one as well. Mine is more boring, just water. Yeah. But I feel like for me, this is an afternoon drink. So I can't quite do it yet.
Past 11, that's not
okay, it's nearly lunchtime, so it's allowed.
Lunchtime. I had a boss 10 years ago that I blamed for this, that was kind of heavy Diet Coke fiend.
Got you into the Diet Coke.
It's not very original, but it is.
But I bet your drink of choice on Friday afternoon would probably be quite different to a Monday morning.
It's not that, it's slightly more alcoholic.
Similarly
busy,
stuff.
but a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But no, I generally don't. Before 11, don't go there unless it's really bad. Then I might do.
Then just have a few.
But I'm afraid it's not very.
No, I would be joining you. I should be joining you, really. So I'm sorry. Can you give us a little intro into Coat? So how you started and the ethos behind your brand?
Yeah, definitely. So there's myself and co-founder Rob, other Rob. We've been friends for kind of 15, 16 years. So we were interns together. So I'm the brand and marketing type guy, and Rob went into paint. So he's kind of the paint Rob. Yeah. And I'm the marketing Rob.
With B Corp, so as a fellow B Corp as well, we know the journey is tough. It's a long process. Is that something, when you started the brand, is that a certification that you knew you wanted to get to achieve what it is today?
Yeah, I think, honestly, when we started Coat, I don't think we knew B Corp existed. So we deliberately wanted to do things differently, which I've said before. So kind of our whole thing was, when you're creating something new, basically creating a business from a blank sheet of paper, you make every single decision you make is new. So it's kind of, we wanted to make good decisions. So that belief that we were going to do something differently for the environment, for community, and all the rest of the elements was there, I think, first. And B Corp, I think, we became aware of it sort of 6 months into Coat, and we did it very quickly because actually we looked at those 5 pillars. A big thing for us, I'm sure we'll talk about it, kind of greenwashing and kind of single lane focus on stuff. B Corp was about 5 areas, 5 pillars, and looking much more broadly. And that's what Coat has always been about. It's not just the paint, it's a lot more than that. So I think it resonated with us straight away when we saw kind of what B Corp was about. So we got involved, I guess, early in Coat's journey. And I think it definitely provided, well, you've been through it too, that rigor of, we already were doing it, but actually that rigor of, have you thought about this? Have you thought about, as you go through the process,
Yeah, it opens you up to a lot more, doesn't it? And you start thinking about every single area of the company,
loads
which
of
you
stuff
might not have thought about before.
Loads of it. And I think that having that kind of outside in view, especially if you're not, I mean, it's a long process, like you said, but if you're not in a rush as such, which we weren't, we just wanted to do things properly, it is a great way of kind of making sure that you are kind of looking at every kind of area of the business. So,
yeah. Did you find that when you knew about B Corp, was that something you were like, right, we must get that for our brand? How important was it to you?
I think we felt like we deserved it. That sounds like a weird thing to say, but I think we looked at it and we resonated with all of that instantly. It was kind of gut emotion thing of like, oh my God, yes, this makes sense. So it was a no-brainer that we wanted to go for it. Obviously, as a small business, it's a lift. You know, we didn't have much resource, so it's kind of there was a bit of kind of toing and throwing there, like do we go for it or not, but purely based on time and resource. But it was such a strong, I think, emotional connection and feeling that we started to do these things, like we want to be part of this. And every, I guess, change movement, whatever you're looking at, it starts with a small few and then you build the majority and whatever. We very much had ourselves in that small few. We are the early adopters. We want to be there. So I think it was a very emotional drive for us to be part of it.
And you're the only paint brand to have B Corp?
There's two more now since us, so we were the first.
But you were the first,
and there's a couple more, and I think
I'm sure people will start jumping on it, won't they, and trying to get it.
I think so, but I think we talked about this as well. But it's a big part of B Corp. It's that you kind of want that, so you want everybody to go, oh, there's this new company, it's got, what is it? And kind of it drives the rest.
You're making people improve,
the
aren't
industry.
You? Yeah, exactly. And I guess it's if you've only recently started out, then you've got the time, or it's maybe easier to figure out how you can start the supply chain even on a better tangent than say the big companies that are all up and running, and then going backwards and trying to change it from having such success. Then it's so much harder, probably, isn't it?
That. In a big company, like making changes that we can do sort of overnight, because it's just me and Robin.
Exactly. It's easier for
but that is quite part of B Corp, that it goes into the roots of your like articles of association, your company like legal docs and stuff. So even we had to bring VC investors and stuff on board. So we had a micro example of that, but I can imagine it's a big company that's
probably harder to do, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And are there any specific sustainable practices that you've implemented off the back of that,
off the back of B Corp,
or in conjunction with doing it at the same time?
I think it's pushed us more in the community side. So I think everybody lasers in on environment, right? And that's one of 5 B Corp pillars. So the community part, again, going back to kind of Coat's roots, we'd always, we started a luxury paint brand. I hate the word luxury, but like a premium paint brand.
Yeah.
And right at the beginning, we did that for a number of reasons. The main one was quality of the product, so it has to be priced to where it is because of the ingredients. But that didn't gel well with Rob and I. Were like, there's people, Crisis has people without homes, and we're selling a bougie paint. So right from the start, we've been involved with Crisis and kind of been a corporate partner there and supporting that organisation. So that was really there. But I think, getting employees, that was very much a Rob and I and a corporate thing, getting employees involved in volunteering days and stuff like that. I think B Corp's given us the impetus to do that more. And obviously you're kind of constantly checking and balancing how you're progressing on those things. And that was an area that we said, actually, we and our employees feel really strongly about, and we want to do more of it. So volunteering with like few of those, the hospital rooms is one that we work with.
Okay. What's that? Can you do all this in a group as well with your employees?
Yeah. So it's, we kind of, let people bring opportunities to the table, because everyone gets an amount of volunteers. So people come and go, oh, this is something cool we could do as a group. So for Coat, that meant kind of supplying a bunch of paint and all of us going and painting his murals for like mental health hospitals and stuff. So there's a few things like that we've done that I think B Corp is so easy to get embroiled in just day-to-day business, and B Corp makes you rightly go, right, we can't lose focus on these things, and here's kind of ways you can do it.
Nice. Well, I need to take a little hint from your social initiative side, because I'm actually charity rep before AGC, so I plan a bit of that. So I need to, come to you for a few of those ideas. And obviously the paint industry has quite a bad rep for sort of harmful ingredients to health and the environment.
Yep.
How do you make sure your products are safe to humans and environmentally friendly?
Yeah. So most of paint is water and natural materials anyway. I think the broader picture of kind of how is it made, how is it distributed, and how is it, I guess, disposed of at the end of life. So that bit, I think, was where we saw the biggest opportunity. So beyond the product itself, batch manufacturers will make X many litres of pink, yellow, green, shove it down through supply networks, which means shipping all over the place. And then if it doesn't kind of sell in a year, it goes. So I think that's where the end of life piece we tackled in two ways. So one, we're just not going to produce it if people don't want it. So that's that. Seems very sensible. When someone orders it, we'll make it.
Yeah.
Great. And on the other end, kind of taking back tins. So we take back empty tins, we recycle the paint, tin, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like closing that loop on the whole thing was where beyond the product we saw the biggest.
Yeah. Well, often you're left with it. I've got we're doing up our house at the moment.
Okay.
And you're left with tins, not just testers, but just big pots where you've got, say, an inch or two left. And you're like, well, do I save it? It'll probably go hard. So I need to chuck it, but then you don't know where you're allowed to dispose of it. So it's all, so you just end up piling all these paint tins, and then you come across them years later and they've gone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was, and everybody we spoke to at the beginning, myself and Rob included, it was like, how many of those have you got under your stairs or in your shed? Or like, everyone was like, oh, I've got at least 5 tins of paint.
Yeah. And you're always going to have a tester somewhere because you've got so many pots left over. Yeah. So it's like, oh, well, let's just go there. You open it.
How much of it do you actually use for touching up and stuff? But,
exactly.
So that was interesting. And that, that takes quite a big shift in how we do things to tackle that. So one, don't make it. Two, reprocessing and engineering those materials. So tin, for example, as a product, is infinitely recyclable. So all those things under your stairs can go back into the supply chain and be used.
And how do you increase awareness on eco-friendly choices? Is there do you do a lot of blogs, or how do you sort of make people more aware of it?
Yeah, I think it's growing naturally. I think people's awareness of their sustainability and making sustainable choices is growing naturally. I think it's a really hard balance, and I always find, and Rob's the same, no one wants to be preachy. So, and also as a person, I don't want to be preached to. So it's kind of one of those sort of difficult lines to take. You want to educate and inform, but at the same time, you don't want to be that person. So we've always been quite, I suppose reserved is probably the right way. We probably undersell ourselves a little bit on the basis that we don't want to shove things down people's necks. So we do a bunch of blog posts. There's an accountability part of our website which is important to us. So that's got our laid bare everything that anyone would want to know about us kind of detailed on there. I think in terms of how we educate people, it's that, okay, here's our creds, here's what we're about. I think things like B Corp are great ways of, I guess, educating consumers in a quick way. So it is that classic, you see that and it has a connotation and you feel like approved or validated, so that those sorts of things help. But we have direct email relationships because we sell directly and online. Everyone that buys from us, probably seen us they've probably seen our Instagram, they've probably seen YouTube, all the rest of it. So we use those channels.
And you're probably appealing to the right people, for whoever's buying from you anyway is conscious of being eco-friendly or making more, more informed choices, I guess. Yeah. So then they're already in tune with that, and then going to pick up on everything that you're telling them as well.
It's come up the ranks massively, actually. So we survey our customers every month and have done for the 3 years that we've been in existence. And that making a sustainable choice is now position number 2 as the reason people buy us. And that's come well up the ranks, even from 3 years ago. So we're seeing that movement. So it is important to keep educating people. Actually, I think we're in an era now where people want to go that next level. So it's not just about saying, eco-friendly is a phrase that I personally dislike, but it's kind of if you assume everybody's eco-friendly because everyone's saying it, like make it mean something now. So what does that actually mean? And people want to dig deeper.
Yeah,
so I think
give reasons.
It's like the next level of sophistication, I think, from the consumer in what being eco-friendly means.
Yeah, definitely. So what advice would you give to sort of others, maybe in a similar industry, looking to achieve B Corp?
I think do it is probably one. But
just crack on.
Just get on with it, because I think, I speak to a lot of businesses that are curious about saying, oh, how was it? What did you think of it? I think just do it, just go for it, because it's not a timed thing. You have to have a decent amount of time to do it.
Yeah.
But as everything, just starting it is kind of the hardest hurdle. Yeah. So that would be my first piece of advice. Just sign up.
Got nothing to lose if you just start the process.
Because then you get all that process flow. You get, you know all the areas, you know where you've got to score yourself. You can do all that internally. Yeah. And kind of understand it.
I think as soon as you can break it down into little compartments, then you realise, okay, actually we could tackle that bit. Then we can go on to that. It's not everything at once. Exactly. Like you say, it doesn't need to be done.
It's also overwhelming.
In a week.
Like a big thing.
Yeah, exactly. And where do you see the future of Coat going?
So I always joke that I can't think past next weekend. That's like where my brain lives.
You probably can't. There's probably so much going on with you.
About 6 months in, it was going guns, probably more than we thought. And I remember saying with Rob, going like, do we want to keep this? Like, do we want to keep this small? Do we want to kind of run it? We probably could have, made a decent business out of that, just the two of us. But I think that emotional response to kind of the opportunity and particularly the sustainability angle of like, everyone's doing this, we want to do this. As much as the team's small, our ambitions are quite big.
Yeah.
So we kind of launched in France 6 months ago. So that was our first step into
Okay, yeah.
That's now 10% of the business. So that's grown really quickly in 6 months. So I think our plan is just to keep going.
So we couldn't let you leave here today without picking your brains on the topic of colour.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll do a few questions just to finish off. So the first one is, do you believe that colour affects mood? And is there one particular colour for you that affects you?
Okay. So not my opinion, but science's opinion, yes.
Yes.
I would probably resonate. I think we probably all can resonate with the idea that, if you paint a room red, it's going to have a certain kind of effect on you, stimulation. Actually, I think there's a lot around colour can provoke even emotions. So red can be quite angry and passionate and all the rest of it. So that science says yes. I think there's nuances to it. So, painting a room Coca-Cola red is one way of talking about red. If you painted it, a lot of Coat's colours, in fact all of them, are quite muted or greyed off, as we call it, so that you take out the brashness of the colour. So there's another level of nuance, which is red doesn't have to be brash. It can actually be quite cocooning if you use it in the right way. So yes is a short answer to that question. And then I think how that translated into Coat's palette. So I mentioned that kind of mutedness. That is something we're big on. So a lot of, right from the start, when we launched, we only had 30 colours, and that was deliberate.
How many now?
We're on 80 now. So we've let go.
Wow.
The reins go a little bit on that.
Yeah.
But the thinking there was it can be quite overwhelming, I think, choosing colour. So let's keep it really tight, and we still do, but all greyed off, all muted. The names of our colours.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that, because I've been trying to work out where they come from, because some of them, like the Duvet or the old corset factory, and then they're building names that I think you must have gone off, and then just other random names.
I mean, there's some random, there's some that make sense. So sweatpants is a good one. So that was, we launched in lockdown. That was one of the original colours.
Okay.
We were all spending way too much time in like jogging bottoms in front of the TV, right, in that sort of phase.
Yeah.
So that was that comforting, like mild grey that everybody knows. But things like mindful is probably one that I would pick up. That was driven off, the calming nature of that. It's quite grounded, there's some brown in it, a little bit of yellow for warmth. And there's a whole spectrum there that plays into that idea of creating calmness and warmth. So all the names of some of them, so particularly that one, Good Intentions is another one, and we launched one in January called Ujjayi, so like about breathing and stuff.
Yeah.
They all play into like moods and feelings. Some of them are a bit more wine driven, which don't necessarily mean
they might not mean so much.
But that's the fun part of.
Do you feel like you've become a colour expert as well now?
I think you've got to. So it wasn't before. Obviously, Rob was in pain in that world, so he knew more, but. I think that's also a misconception that you have to be a colour expert to work in this world. And that, we assume our customers aren't colour experts. A lot of them are, everyone knows what they like and they know what they don't like. And you can help people kind of figure out how to put things together and make them work in their space. But it's not rocket science. There's a lot of people. It's scary, but actually when you break it down...
Well, also when you haven't got as many choices to go with and you can pick from a select few, then it's easier, isn't it?
So you organise stuff in spectrums. You go, this is greens, but it's got yellow in, yellow undertones. This is green, but it's got grey. And people can see that and understand it. It's not mythical. We can help people understand that. That's quite a big part of the brand and demystifying stuff a bit.
And what the colour of your own home?
Do you know what? I've spent the last 3 years repainting because obviously now everybody goes, "Oh, what coat colour is it?" So I have a lot of neutrals, like a lot of customers. So
can't go wrong with a good neutral, can you?
You can't, and that's the thing. It's about accessorising with colour. So using fabrics. So there's some amazing furnishings brands that are leaning into like bold colour and in a really nice way. So my home's broadly neutral with caps of colour. We did use Darlington, which is a really, really dark sage green, which we worked with an influencer called Dan Lovett on in our study. So that is all over walls, ceilings, woodwork, kind of very cool.
That's the right sort of vibe though, isn't it? Yeah. For the study.
It gets harder in winter to work in because you're like, it's a bit cozy.
Just have a little nap, maybe. Mid-morning nap. Well, we did at the Conscious collection, I can't remember was it the old corset factory? It's the ready one, which is lovely in one of the bedrooms. And that just feels really cozy as soon as you step in.
Nice frame.
Yeah.
Fun fact, that was in the original Coat 30, that colour. And Rob and I disagreed on it. And we both had one colour in the palette that we disagreed on. And we said, we'll just watch them and see what sells. And I won with mine.
So you were for it?
Yeah. He was very anti it.
So you knew. You knew it would do well.
3 years ago, it's been a slow burn, but it's starting to get used to.
It's now picking up slowly.
Picking up now. But no, that project was beautiful.
It looks lovely. Well, you need to get yourself down there and have a look. Indeed. Thank you so much for joining.
No worries,
that was really fascinating, really interesting topic. So thank you.
No worries.
See you soon. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Interior Insider. Remember to subscribe to be the first to listen to our latest episodes and be sure to comment who you'd like to hear from next. Speak soon.